So maybe you want to make a YouTube video or a video for any social media platform for that matter, but you don't want to spend the money on a camera. I mean, looking at the camera market these days, to get a decent one, it will cost upwards of $500, and that's not even including a lens. But don't worry, you can get good videos with something you already have, and you might not think about it, and that's your smartphone. Smartphones can be used to film really high quality videos. In fact, they've been used to film movies. I'm talking about feature-length Hollywood productions that you wouldn't even know they were filmed on a phone. So today, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to film and get really good video on your smartphone. So when filming a video with your smartphone, there are several things you need to keep in mind. One, smartphones are really small and light, which is good for being a phone, but when it comes to filming, that is not good, because when we hold something still, the heavier it is, the less shaky it is. So phones tend to be really shaky. Now you might think, why don't I just turn on the in-body image stabilization, the digital stuff? Well, you really don't want to do that, because then it's going to end up with jello-y video, and that just looks terrible. And it crops down your resolution, so it ends up getting a lower res video that looks jello-y. You might as well just stabilize your videos digitally in post, where you have more control. Now, before we go any further, I want to talk about how to record physically on a phone. You want to get an app that allows you to manually control all the settings on your phone. There are dozens of them out there. There are paid versions, there are free ones. It doesn't matter. Just pick up a free one to start with, and it'll give you plenty of functionality. This allows you to set the shutter speed, the ISO, and the bit rate and resolution and frame rate of your video. Those are all very important, and if none of those terms make sense, go back through our channel and check out some videos on those terms. But let's move on. If you are new to video, make sure to check our video out about the exposure triangle. That'll teach you everything you need to know on how to expose a video. So now, back to stabilization. Phones, as I said, are really light and easy to shape. So what you want to do is put your phone on some sort of stabilizer. Now, as you can see, I have a Z grip. It doesn't matter about the brand, whatever it is, just get some sort of stabilization. And you will need a phone clamp. This is a little adapter that can go from a tripod screw mount or any screw mount to a phone. And this allows you to connect this to basically any stabilizer. Now you can get fancy and you can get phone gimbals. Those are a little more pricey. But if you're just starting out, I'm going to suggest get just some sort of basic stabilizer. Now that you have a stabilizer, you need to know how to properly utilize this. So if you're not using a gimbal, this is how you should properly utilize a stabilizer. When you're standing still, make sure you maintain as many points of contact between your stabilizer and yourself. This allows for a much more stable shot, and so you don't end up with any sort of little vibration. So what I mean by point of contact is your hand is a point of contact. If you pull it up against your chest, that's another point of contact. So a great way to hold just a basic stabilizer is to hold it with both hands and tuck it into your shoulder. This gives you a very stable shot. However, when you are walking, you do not want to maintain many points of contact. In fact, you want one, which would be one hand, if possible. This allows for the least amount of vibration to transfer from your walking into the movement of the camera. This might not make sense at first, but when you think about it, you're introducing a lot of movement into your body when you walk. And so you want to transfer as little of that as possible. So holding it with one of your hands is ideal. When you walk, you want to use a ninja walk. Now this is where you walk on the balls of your feet and you never straighten your knees. And you never want to hit your heels to the ground. This allows for a much smoother motion when you look back at the video. It prevents a lot of vibration from transferring up from your steps into the camera. Lighting is another very important part of a video. And if you want to know how to get good lighting, we have a video on that too. This is a very complex topic, and it would not be worth it to waste your time in this video because it's completely different. So go click in the cards above if you want to know how to light a video properly outside. So now, phones use autofocus exclusively. So what you want to do is set a fixed point focus for most applications. Unless you're filming a face, then face detection AF is a good idea. But generally you want a fixed point that you're going to be focusing on. And that can be set in the setting. Now, shutter speed depends on what you're filming. If you're filming B-roll, maybe 60, maybe 100 frames per second, whatever your phone can do. Bitrate, I'm going to suggest you crank that sucker up as high as you possibly can. That's going to give you the most amount of flexibility in post when you go to edit this footage. Now, if you have the option, get rid of all digital sharpening. That looks nasty and you really don't want it. Do that in post. So now, phones usually use auto white balance, and that's good for photos. But for video, you generally want manual white balance if you're going to be making a quote-unquote professional video. So what you want to do is set the white balance to manual if you have that capability. And that allows you to keep the same white balance as you're filming, so it doesn't adjust on you in incremental amounts while the video is rolling, because that tends to look bad and it distracts from the quality of the video.